Channel, and in this video I want to cover Beowulf. And the thing with Beowulf is that I find it difficult to find just one moveset that's quite easy, because I think Beowulf is quite flexible. You can go different ways with him. So in this video I'm just going to cover a few movesets which I think are pretty good, based on his variants and what you could do with it as a beginner. Okay, so first off, we are gonna start with a moveset that is particularly powerful for Beowulf variants that requires hype mode. So one example is Hype Man here. A lot of Beowulf variants, they gain abilities when they're in hype mode, and you want to get to hype mode as soon as possible. So the first move that you absolutely need is Wolf Shoot. Wolf Shoot is a command grab. You use it and Beowulf will immediately hurtle to the opponent and give you one hype stack. I like to use 2 Wolf Shoots because it's just that good. Now the 3 moves, I think Lupin Pummel, personally, I think it's one of the best Beowulf moves, so I definitely would recommend. And I like Gytis Trepak as well, because Lupin Pummel is a BB2. You can see, like, in the picture here, it has like a little star icon, so charging its meter is a bit more difficult than a BB1. BB1 will charge faster, and that's what Gytis Trepak is here for. And this middle slot, you can really use anything. You can use Aru Ready, which gives you a taunt and haste, and it also gives you an extra stack of hype mode. But you can also use a BB3 if you really want to, Wolf Blitzer, a chair, Airwolf. It's completely up to you. I personally like Tree Wolf Moonsault because I think it's the best Beowulf unblockable blockbuster. I think it's better than Wolfmania. Okay, so let's test this out. You can also equip other moves like Gigantic Arm. Like the final slot is really up to you. Depends on what you want. So this is gonna be the moveset that's really good for Beowulf variants that requires hype mode to be effective. Alright, now so I'm back in the Peacock Master Story Origin mode so that I can show you how it works. Just a little bit as well. It's important to note that all 4 of these moves, Double Wolf Shoot, Gytis Trepak, and Lupin Pummel, they are all command grabs, which makes it really easy to land a hit without having to wait for an opening. And I think that's one of the reasons why I recommend this in a beginner moves, because it's very easy to use, and you'll see how later. So with this moveset, you can be super aggressive. You don't have to wait for an opening. So I'm just going to quickly tap here and use a Wolf Shoot directly. And that'll give me 1 hype stack. I could grab the opponent as well, give me 2 hype stack. And I'll use my 3rd Wolf Shoot and I'm immediately at 3 hype stacks already. And if I use another Wolf Shoot here, I can inflict a double throw and immediately use Gytis Trepak to deal some damage. And because I'm using Hype Man, my meter is increased very, very fast. So I don't have to worry about, the meter. So I'm just going to start with a grab here. I'm going to intercept. I'll form a normal juggle. I'm going to get my 3rd hype stack. And I could use a BB3. And because I'm using Hype Man, my meter increases super fast every time I use a blockbuster. And I can keep inflicting damage without having to wait for an opening. Oh shoot. Okay, good. The Doom is pretty problematic here. Okay, good. So that is the first moveset that I recommend to Beowulf variant that requires to be in hype mode. Another thing that I forgot to mention is because all of these are command grabs, investing in crit isn't really effective because you're never gonna crit unless you use a BB3. So if you're using Dragon Brawler or something, you can switch out the final slot with another move that can make use of your position. I do have a video on Dragon Brawler. It's quite old, but I think it's still quite relevant, so I'll put the link of that down in the description below if you want to see it. Alright, so the next set, this is pretty much specific to Beast King, but you can also use it with other variants. And it focuses on dealing a lot of damage, but low hit count damage. So you're only dealing like one hit, but then it's massive damage. So Beast King is perfect for this because he does require to inflict at least 10% of the opponent's max health. So the first move I want, since Beast King doesn't require to be in hype mode, and this applies to the other Beowulf variants that don't require in hype mode, Wolf Shoot isn't as important here. I would like Hurting Hurdle and Gigan Arm Sweep. These are two special moves that deals one hit, but they deal quite massive damage. Now I'm going to go with Airwolf. Airwolf also does a lot of damage as well, and it's quite low hit as well. And I still like Tree Wolf Moonsault. And for the final slot, Gigantic Arm works here, but I really like Lupin Pummel too much, especially because it works really well with Beast King's signature ability because it can inflict a lot of debuffs. So it's really up to you. You can equip Gigantic Arm to replace one of the special moves, or Lupin Pummel, completely up to you, or even the BB3 if you don't like it. But this moveset for me is quite good for Beast King. It deals a lot of one-hit damage, and how you play it is slightly different, and I'll show you now. Okay, so how you play this is you use a lot of dash attacks with your special moves, and you can do this little neat combo that uses Hurting Hurdle and Gigan Arm Sweep to deal massive damage like that. But in this one, you can't be too aggressive. You gotta wait for an opening before you can deal some damage. So it's a very different playstyle, but it works quite well as well. Oh shoot. So dash attack, Hurting Hurdle, dash attack. Oh shoot, I missed. But yeah, it works for some variants, but it doesn't work for others. So it depends on your opponent as well. So Lupin Pummel is going to deal a lot of damage here because it automatically gives you 6 debuffs. The nice thing about this moveset is that it has range attack as well, because Hurting Hurdle and Gigan Arm Sweep can attack the opponent from a distance. So if they're like idling or taunting, you can just use a chair to hit them from afar, which is quite nice. Alright, so those two movesets are really the two movesets that I would recommend. One for variants that requires hype mode and the other that doesn't. But you can always mix and match them depending on what your variant wants. Wrestler Axe, for example, requires hype mode, but he also wants multi-hit moves to be able to inflict a lot of bleeds. So I would, for example, in here, I would use probably one Wolf Shoot instead of two. And Lupin Pummel is a really useful move in hype mode to deal like 8 hits or something. It's quite a multi-hit blockbuster, so I would want to be able to use Lupin Pummel with Wrestler Axe as fast as possible. So instead of double Wolf Shoot, I might go with one Wolf Shoot and one Aru ready to get the haste. So there's always like little changes that you can make depending on your variant. Dragon Brawler I've discussed before in a previous video. In there, instead of using double Wolf Shoot, I don't remember if I actually used Wolf Shoot at all. Probably I used one. But I also use a lot of moves and blockbusters that are not command grabs to be able to make use of those precision hits. So it really depends on the variant that you're using and what you're trying to accomplish. But Beowulf is a pretty easy character to use in my opinion. There's probably a more in-depth way of playing Beowulf, but learning it is not, I don't think it's quite that difficult. But yeah, Beowulf, his movesets are quite easy to learn. They're pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of combos you can do with him, but that also makes it pretty easy to learn him and use him and still be able to deal pretty good damage with the moves that you have. Alright, so that's really all I wanted to showcase. Hope you guys find this video useful, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.